massive viral wall of text making some huge claims about the Jaisalmer border. We're talking luxury hotels, espionage. I'm online recently, you've probably stumbled across this massive viral wall of text making some huge claims about the Jaisalmer border. We're talking luxury hotels, espionage, top-tier political drama, and border demolitions. So today we're going to unpack exactly what this viral message is actually claiming. And just a quick reminder up front, my goal here as your host isn't to pick a side or validate the politics at play. We're just going to look objectively at the source material to see how this viral narrative is built, piece by piece. Let's get right into it.
To make sense of all this, we've split the claims into 4 quick sections. First, the Jaisalmer border claims. Second, politics and hotel connections. Third, the 15-kilometer encroachment. And finally, the clash of narratives.
All right, starting with Section 1, the Jaisalmer border claims, exploring the geographic context.
The author doesn't hold back, diving right into some super serious allegations about commerce and national security in this highly sensitive area. Right off the bat, the text claims that dozens of 5-star hotels along the border are owned by the family of a prominent local figure, Ghazi Fakir. Now, the narrative builds this specific logical chain. It says because these hotels are family-owned, they're staffed almost entirely by relatives and acquaintances. And then it makes a massive jump to a serious security allegation. It argues that during search operations, authorities are actually catching individuals sharing sensitive Indian Army movements with Pakistan. So the core argument here? The text is directly linking hotel ownership in the area to active espionage.
Moving on to Section 2, politics and hotel connections, allegations from the past.
So how does the author explain these hotels getting so big and wealthy? Well, they lay out a very specific timeline to claim political favoritism. First up, it points out that Ghazi Fakir's son was actually a minister in Rajasthan during Ashok Gehlot's government. And according to this text, it was during this exact time that these border hotels saw an absolute boom in business. But wait, it gets even more specific. The text claims that during that well-known political crisis involving Sachin Pilot, ruling party MLAs literally stayed at these exact hotels to ride out the storm, spending the holy month of Shravan there. There's even a vivid little anecdote claiming that female MLAs celebrated the festival of Raksha Bandhan with Ashok Gehlot right there on the property. The author is using these very specific political retreats to argue that these hotels were directly propped up by the highest levels of the state government.
And that brings us to a very specific number, 1.5 million or 15 lakh rupees. The narrative drops this figure to really hammer home its point about state patronage. The claim here is that the government didn't just patronize the hotels, they actually handed out this direct financial grant to this specific border area.
So what exactly was that 15 lakh rupee grant supposedly for? Well, the text asserts the state government provided this money specifically to build large mosques in the region. And the stated reason for this funding? To make sure tourists visiting the area had better, more convenient facilities to offer their namaz, or prayers. By spotlighting this, the author is basically laying the groundwork for their argument that the previous government was actively funding religious infrastructure in a highly sensitive border zone, all disguised as tourism facilitation.
Okay, Section 3, the 15-kilometer encroachment, the present conflict. Now that the author has established what they see as a history of problematic political and religious patronage, we're pulled right into the present day. So what kicked off the current tension? The text points to one clear catalyst, a recent visit by Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The claim is that this high-level visit caused a sudden, drastic shift in priorities for the region, moving away from state-level political favors and going all in on strict national security enforcement.
Which brings us to another super important number, 15. Following the Home Minister's visit, the text asserts that a massive, sweeping mandate went into effect for national security. Literally all encroachments within a 15-kilometer radius of the border are now being demolished. Think about that. That's a huge geographic area. And here's why this matters for the narrative. The author is perfectly setting up the ultimate conflict. They are framing absolute national security directly against the structures they claim were built by the previous administration.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 4, Clash of Narratives, differing views on the demolitions.
This brilliantly illustrates the exact argument the author wants you to walk away with. The text creates a direct face-off between what the opposition is saying and what the text claims is the actual truth. According to the source, the opposition is out there protesting the demolitions, claiming the government is unfairly targeting those state-aided mosques we mentioned earlier. But the source fires right back. It states its own version of the truth, that this isn't a targeted attack on mosques at all. Instead, it's just a blanket removal of all illegal constructions within that sensitive 15-kilometer security zone, period, regardless of what they are.
Then, the author takes a very direct shot at the political opposition. The text literally says Congress is presenting the incident in such a way that it creates a victim feel. Now remember, as an impartial explainer, we aren't here to say if this is true or false, but it's absolutely crucial to understand the author's framing. The source is explicitly accusing the Congress Party of intentionally manipulating the public narrative. The argument is that the opposition is trying to manufacture unwarranted sympathy, that victim feel, just to protect structures the text fundamentally views as illegal encroachments and security threats.
Ultimately, the whole text builds up to this highly provocative, emotionally charged final thought. The author asks, verbatim, why does Congress defend anti-nationals? What is this relationship? It's a heavy, heavy accusation. You see what they did there? The source systematically walked the reader from border hotels to political retreats to state-funded mosques and finally to national security demolitions, all just to drop this massive final anchor. The text literally demands the reader question the fundamental loyalties of the opposition party, equating the defense of those demolished structures with defending anti-nationals. And there you have it, the complete anatomy of this viral claim. It really is a masterclass in how a narrative can weave geography, history, and current events together to push a highly partisan conclusion. I'll leave you to ponder how these pieces were put together by the author, and I definitely encourage you to keep breaking down the media you consume, just like we did today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.